Jonathan, and I cosplay as UMP45.
Alright, so who here does not know the game Girls Frontline? You have never played. Okay, really? Are you sure?
How dare you?
Yeah, so if you look up Girls Frontline, if you look up Girls Frontline on on Google, you'll see images like certain like these pretty girls, they're carrying rifles, or you've seen like in-game screenshots like this. Well, okay, so I'll show you a promo video by the developers. It'll give you like a general idea of what the game is like. There we go. Oh, whoops.
Stand by, technical difficulties.
I think I muted it. Yeah, it was muted. Oops.
Round 2, fight.
There we go.
Much better.
お願いします。ごなさって防御陣形です。撃て。さあ。撃ちます。
Alright, so now the promo video by Mike Team, the developers of Girls Frontline. So the longer version of the game. Yeah, the mic's not working. Alright, so the longer version would be Girls Frontline. It's called by different names, Shoujo Sensen or Sonya Zanzan, or Dolls Frontline in Japanese in Japan for copyright issues. It's a mobile strategy game featuring personifications of various rifles, handguns, basically firearms worldwide, like the US-made guns, Russian guns, German guns. They even have like Chinese guns and some lesser-known guns, like ones from Singapore and Korea. The game was developed by Micah Team, released on May 20th, 2016. So it's getting close to 4 years now. The game is operated by Digital Sky Entertainment. Like for different servers, there's like the Chinese server, Korean server, and the global server. The global server is run by Sunborn Technologies. Alright, so I said Micah Team is the developer of this game. It's led by this man named Yu Zong. Now, his real name is Huang Chong, but if you look up his name, then you might accidentally look up some other general from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Their names are pretty similar. It's not to be confused with Huang Zong. He's self-proclaimed military otaku. He started developing this game because he had this love for military technology and firearms and wanted to make some game based on it. He's also the illustrator and developer for Micah Team, and he in fact drew the character art for one of the characters, 6P62. Alright, so Micah Team is well known for Girls Frontline, but prior to releasing Girls Frontline, they also worked on a spiritual sequel to Girls Frontline called Codename Bakery Girl. Gameplay-wise, it is roughly similar to Girls Frontline, but it has its own like story. Well, the story is actually like a sequel, basically a sequel of Girls Frontline. So if you want to like have a better understanding of the stories and the lore behind Girls Frontline, then I would suggest you give it a try. Alright, so we're going to talk about how to play Girls Frontline. I'll pass off the mic to EMP45.
Okay, so for Girls Frontline, usually you have to have phone, of course, and then Google Play, download it. It's free. The only time you'll really pay for money for this is if you need like extra, if you're trying to get costumes or such, or gems to try to get stuff. But like other games, there's story. You go through so many episodes. Episodes, one map, and usually the objective ranges from capturing the headquarters, or during night battle, you're supposed to take out all the enemies in a certain amount of turns.
And there are for later maps, you have to you have to kill the boss, clear all enemies, and then establish supply lines, which is you have to maintain a line starting from your starting node to an end node, and never have it taken over by enemy forces.
And there's a bunch of quests you can do, ranging from doing the dailies or quests that you complete once in your account. But they do reward you with ammo, MRE, parts, manpower.
Yeah, those are the core resources that are used in this game. So if you've played other gacha games, you might be familiar with what we call dailies. They have those dailies here as well. You just log into the game. It's basically an incentive for players to keep playing the game so they can continue complete these quests and then pile up resources.
And usually, every 7 days, you'll get gems from the daily to keep logging in repeatedly. And there's one new T-Doll a month that if you keep doing logging, you'll get the 3-star T-Doll.
Alright, so there are also something similar to quests known as achievements. Now, these achievements are something like, scrap this many T-Dolls or kill this many enemies. If you do something a certain number of times, you'll unlock these achievements, and there are quite a lot of interesting references with the names. There are some references to Terminators, other anime series. So when you unlock a new achievement, you go, oh wait, that reminds me of something. Oh yeah, it's from that anime series. Let's see this one. Well, okay, so the one shown here is not really a good example, but there are stuff No T-Doll Sky, I think, or My Little T-Doll Can't Be This Cute. There are reference to these other things. And I think that last one was something you have to collect hearts from dorms, which we'll cover in a later slide.
It's your choice if you want to try to marry all of them, but basically you have to collect all the T-Dolls. That's part of the game. And whoever's your waifu, just marry her. Usually you get the first ring for free, and then other rings later on you have to pay to get them to oath your T-Dolls.
And the cost is it's roughly similar to other games where they charge about $7 for oath, ring, or whatever. If you want to marry all of them, since there are around 220 T-Dolls, roughly, I haven't counted them exactly, but it comes out to about 220, and it would be $1,540. At that point, I don't know, you might want to spend that for a trip to Japan or something.
But if you're crazy, go right ahead.
Alright, so there are ranks. So this is not really worthy in my opinion. They don't have any rewards for completing the ranks yet. But if you want to put your name up there for some reason, well then you pretty much have to kind of know this game. There's a rank for collecting all the T-Dolls, killing as many enemies as possible, and yeah, defense drills and whatnot. There are other features in this game, but you have to kind of know it. Oh yeah, and the dorms. Yeah, so I mentioned collecting hearts. You can see, yeah, so when you log into your dorm, you'll see your T-Dolls that are placed in each squad. And every day you collect hearts from them, which raises their affection slightly. And yeah, like I said, if you collect enough hearts, then you can unlock certain achievements that they will give you certain rewards. And about costumes too. Yeah, you can see them, dress them up in different costumes, and they go into this other the feature called the dorm cafeteria, where you can see stories behind the costumes. It's kind of a nice side story, pretty cute.
And as always, throughout the game, you always have events coming up, probably every other month. And your goal, usually when you complete the map, you get rewards like a new T-Doll or cores or something as a reward for completing the event. Sometimes you'll have to go do the map once and you're done, but there's some maps where you have to complete 7, 8, 9, even 15 times just to complete it and get the reward.
Okay, so as UMP45 mentioned, so the main gameplay is pretty much clearing all these maps, and each chapter has 10 maps and 4 night battle maps. So these maps will basically they have a story basically for each chapter. As you clear, you can progress through the story, see what's going on with the titles and like the commander, you as the protagonist. Each map is basically a graphic nodes. Like there are different like nodes that you can move around, which is similar to Advanced Wars in a sense. You can move from certain nodes to other nodes, and there are sometimes like one directional like lines where you can only travel from one node to another, but you cannot go backwards. There are special nodes, random nodes where like something will happen. You might lose resources, gain resources, or you can get ambushed by an enemy.
Or hey, you might get T-Doll if you're very, very lucky.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was I believe that was a feature in the Chinese server as well. Yeah, sometimes you can get a new T-Doll by stepping on those random nodes. You have to set up a squad of up to 5 T-Dolls, not necessarily 5, you can have just a squad of 1 T-Doll. And then, yeah, depending on the map's objective, try to clear it within a certain turns to get gold medals, or capture all the nodes to get silver medal. Or if you're in a hurry, you can just clear it to get a bronze medal, like that. And then night battles, as I mentioned, night battles are kind of different from day battles. You cannot see all the nodes. You have to capture certain radar nodes to expand your vision, like so you can see if a certain node is captured. If a certain node has an enemy or not.
Another way is always have a handgun on your Echion, so you at least have a little bit of vision ahead of you.
And last but not least, you also have these berries, the drones that basically expand your vision, the illumination berry. Now, each of these battles will cost resources. So, when you go out to battle, you'll have to spend some ammo and rations. How do we collect them? You send your T-Dolls out to like logistics support missions, which is probably the best way to gather resources other than quests doing dailies, because you can only gain so much from quests like dailies and weeklies. But the amount of resources you can gain from logistics support is practically, well, it's hard capped at 300,000. So yeah, it's practically infinite if you keep spending them.
You also get natural generation, so they slowly start recovering.
Yep. But there's also a soft cap too for that one. So it depends on your player level. The higher your level, the higher the soft cap is. But before hitting that soft cap, your resources can naturally regenerate. Alright, so yes, so this game is pretty much, just kind of, it kind of reminds you of Pokemon or other like collecting games where your objective is to collect as many T-Dolls or equipment, furniture, berries, and you can have them in like an index. Reminds you of Pokédex. So you have a list of all the T-Dolls, furniture, achievements that you've unlocked along the way, and medals. So right now the medal is kind of boring. It's like you only get medals for clearing events or beating the last map of a certain event. Like I think in like other servers, you get medals for getting in the ranks, which is like a monthly challenge rank of some kind, but that's not implemented in the global server yet. So so to complete the index, you could, there are 2 ways you can farm for them or get them from events. But for the most part, most of the T-Dolls that are available can be produced by the T-Doll production. We have the regular production and the heavy production here.
When the game first came out, there was no recipes that you click on the button and find the recipe for whatever T-Doll type girl you want. So you had to go online, search what recipe you wanted, like if you wanted AR, SMG, or a pistol. You have to go online, figure out the formula for it, and then put it in the game. But later on, they started implementing what recipes that if you want AR, here's the recipe, or if you want mix, it was like 400, 200, 200, 200. And then later on, they started doing the heavy construction for your shotguns and such.
So like for instance, like this recipe here is what we call, in the Korean fandom at least, we call it the Negev recipe. Like because like people like to go for Negev because Negev is so cute and everyone likes Negev. So they even have like her own recipe. So I decided to give it a shot, and I got this one instead. So just because a recipe has a name for it, like, oh, this is an MG recipe, or this is like a rifle recipe, does not really guarantee that the particular title, you can get other titles out of it. And two important things that I wanted to cover is, first one is that rarity does not always equate to performance. So just because a title has 5 stars does not necessarily mean she's like the best of the best. Like sometimes she's kind of useless, sometimes she's like, I can't tell the difference between her and a 4-star title. And the opposite is also the case. Like there are certain 3-star titles that are really useful and versatile. And the other important thing I want to cover is that more resources does not necessarily mean that you'll get a better gun either. Like so, you can't just spend like 999 resources on everything and expect like 5-star titles every time. After all, it's a gacha game. There's randomness involved.
It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And speaking of gachas, there's also the resupply gacha, which is how you collect the furniture, and that can be used in your dorm. Like this is the Christmas set, and the Christmas resupply gacha. Along with the furniture, you have a chance to collect the costumes that you can dress up your titles in.
It's kind of confusing how to get it because when you first spend money, you get gems for it, and then you use your gems to purchase tokens, and then you use your tokens to purchase the furniture and hopefully the costumes of whichever of your waifus you wanted.
Yeah, and another important thing I want to cover with that: don't count on the costume rates. Yeah, they're very low. Like even my team actually had made an official statement: spend wisely, don't be irresponsible.
So I have a question for everybody. Has anybody like spent a bunch of money for one costume of their waifu? What was it?
I spent about $60 for Children's Day to give.
Nice. I saw a hand up over there.
I don't remember what costume it is. I never got it.
Oh.
Somebody else talked to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really big into Valhalla, so that always was wrong. I spent $200 trying to get Alma's skin. I ended up getting everyone else's skin.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
No.
Okay, so there are also costume packages. So these are like guaranteed costumes you can buy, but they're also the prices are quite steep. Like they're guaranteed, but you have to pay. I think it was like 1,800 gems for certain packages, and I'm not sure how much that translates to, but it is quite a lot of money.
I think it's about 25, give or take, $25 for like a gem package.
Oh, that's right, because you get bonus gems. Okay, yeah. But that's only for a first purchase. So if you've already made that first purchase for the $25 gem package, then you might have to spend a bit more. Again, like you don't want to really spend too much money on the costume because they don't actually give you that like any kind of benefits other than like aesthetics. Maybe a little bit of combat, like I guess it kind of extends to combat benefits if you count in like the affection bonus. But again, that's such a minuscule like increase in bonus. Yeah, what's up?
Well, there's a few costumes where it's like 2D, so if you want to see your waifu like move around during your login screen. For example, Demon Hunter from Thompson, and then they implemented my Wawa with her winter uniform. I was like, yes, thank you, God.
Yeah. So does anyone have the live 2D skins?
Do you like 2D skins?
Yeah. Yes.
I just got the G11 one. Release.
G11, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, the let's see, the ones with the live 2Ds tend to be the most expensive ones, as in like, yeah, so you see here, like there's the black card exchange ones. The live 2D ones are always like, they always require you to have like more, like I think 3 times more than like the regular skins. And they also have the lowest rates of appearance. So don't count on those costume rates. Again, like if you don't get it within like X number of tries, then it's best if you just end it there. Alright. So yeah, UMP will cover the recent developments in our game since our last panel.
So one of the newest we have so far is the thing called Forward Face Camp. It's basically sending your girls out to the world to gather resources. Usually, when you level it up, you get like extra missions you can do that last like a long time, ranging from 2 hours, 5 hours to I think 8 hours. But 8 hours usually you get the most stuff. Not only you can take your T-dolls off, but you can also take your pets out with them. And they can also carry stuff that will increase the probability of like going to the city by 30% more, or going to the forest or whatever. Also, they also it's very there's like a video feed that you can see them like running around, sleeping, and they'll just do like funny things. Like if you have like a party of NG42, it'll be like NG42 decided that she found a cup on the ground, so she decided to recycle it for money. Or HK416, she got her paycheck, so she decided to spend money on getting what she wants, and then she spent the rest on getting a gift for the commander. Like cute interactions, and then like you'll see like maybe HK416 like go to sleep, or G11, and then you got like a TDL that gets angry at her, and then they wake up. But it's very fun, cute, interactive, and then when they're done, ranging how long they take, you get like resources back, ranging from capsules, cores, or anything they just managed to pick up along their way.
And along with that, they get these weird black market currencies that can only be used in the black market. Where's my cursor? Yeah, black market function here. Like you can exchange it for other furniture, equipment. Yep.
Now they recently did an update where certain T-Doll girls get certain mods, which is like you spend some of your resources and make sure they're the appropriate level for them to go to mod 1, mod 2. Like mod 1, mod 2, their appearance doesn't change, but when they get to mod 3, their appearance drastically change, and they get a little more powerful. For example, SCAR-15 and Cimarol in 4. Hey, she's Cimarol. We all love her.
Yeah. They also get like their own equipment too. Like the equipment comes for pretty much, well, it comes with the mod. To do these, to carry out these mods, you have to collect memory fragments, which is part of the combat simulation function that we mentioned before. So yeah, so has anyone done any of these mods on your like favorite Cheetos? Any? All right.
I've done them on M4A1 and SDAR-15.
Like me, awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
And you in the back? For the mod, like
For the mods.
you did one of the mods.
I've done a few. It's just when I grind, I kind of try to do everything I can.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
One more thing about the mods is when you get mod 3, usually it's basically 4-star T-Dolls. They just turn into a 5-star T-Doll. So the rarity like increases.
Okay, so this one is like a very recent addition, so I can't really say much for like how it will affect our gameplay as far as the global server is concerned. But based on what we've seen on the Chinese server and the Korean server, these HOC units can basically carry out like attacks on shield units. They are basically meant to be a reinforcement of some kind for certain battles against certain enemies. So there will be certain enemies that have like these insanely powerful shields that your like regular T-Dolls cannot like penetrate through. So for those enemies, you'll have to send out these HOC units to, well, destroy their shields, and then so that your regular T-Dolls can like carry out their attacks. Now, I am not too sure how to build these HOC units yet because they've just been implemented. But you have to do these like analyses. You have to do like these analyses on certain samples that you collect. Again, it's like regenerating in your. It's part of your dorm, the whole dorm feature. Like you have to play some kind of Tetris game, like a Tetris mini game, to complete these analyses. And then like the more you get, like the more points you get, I think like you get better units. Although I haven't tried it yet because it was implemented just yet.
I think you just get them through heavy production. They do have a new. I think it's a new combat report. Is what the that mini game.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so I didn't see that one correctly. Okay.
I could be wrong. I had a friend who was talking about it yesterday.
It's brand new, so we're still testing it out.
Alright, so yes, so what's a gotcha game without events, right? If you play any gotcha games, you'll have heard about, oh yeah, I have to do this event, I have to do that event. Girls Frontline also has those events. It's the main source of popularity surges for any gotcha games that you know. They have various events that you see here, like, they're all overlapped, whoops. So there are different types of events.
One of them is the log-on bonus, as you see on screen. Another one is like you get a login bonus if you haven't played the game for a while. You just came back in, so you're just returning to the game. Like if you're logging in for 7 days, you get like special rewards because they want people to come back into the game if they got bored in the past with Girls Frontline. And then you have events to where you'll have to do like you have to acquire points to get like a costume for that T-doll, for example, this one right here. Or basically, the more points you score, how do you get those points is basically either doing the event or the dailies for that. Like it'd be 200 points for like doing 50 combat expeditions, repairing so many T-dolls, using so much manpower. Like you do the quest, you earn the points, and then you unlock packages when you get the points.
Yep, so it's basically its own quest or achievements, basically.
Also, another thing is, once in a while they'll do like a bingo card. So like if you complete a quest, you'll get like a random number, and you get generate number, and you see it's in the bingo card, and then hopefully you get stuff from it.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite type of the mini events, basically. So far we've covered the mini events, ones that you can like kind of do casually, and then there are limited event maps. Yeah, these are the large scale ones, basically, where they release limited time maps that you can only access for a certain amount of time. They have their own event story, which heavily features the 404 squad. Let's see. And then there are other events, like social media related events, something like, oh yeah, like share our post, and if we reach like 1 million shares, then everyone gets 5,000 gems and stuff like that. Alright, so we started out with Operation Q. That was our first major event. It was only like 4 maps, but it was all night battles, so lots of like the new commanders had kind of trouble because they didn't have like proper night battle equipment. And this was the last map, which is really huge. This is only half of it. This is only the bottom half of it, so you can see like everyone kind of struggled to find where the final boss was. So yeah, like I think not a lot of people really enjoyed it, but yeah, it was our first event.
I think one of the main issues was some people didn't bother leveling up handguns, and they are very valuable during night battles.
That or basically any units that can handle like the armored units, for instance, like rifles or well machine guns. There are machine guns, but machine guns also take up a lot of resources. Oh yeah, and there was our first collaboration event with Guilty Gear, right?
Guilty Gear.
And Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue. Operation Rabbit Hunt. That was like a short mini event type. Well, it's a large scale, but out of the large scale, it was kind of on a smaller scale. You could get Elf, Felt, and Null as a T-doll.
Also, the music to the last map is epic.
Oh yeah, this one. I don't think a lot of people like this one. Arctic Warfare. Yeah, because of that Jupiter cannon. Let's see. Operation Q Plus, which is, I would say it's like an extension of Operation Q, but
It depends on when you got Girls Frontline.
Yeah.
If you did Girls Frontline at the start of it and did Operation Q, apparently I think you had to complete like the last map on Operation Q once, and then you go straight to Operation Q Plus, and then you start.
yes, it might go into spoilers, so I won't really say much about the story. But yeah, I don't know if I can consider Operation Q Plus to be like an extension. I would say it's like its own story. Then oh yeah, deep dive.
That diner gate.
Yep. I didn't like this one actually. Arctic Warfare was fun, but Deep Dive wasn't really too fun for me. Yeah, oh yeah, so these events also have like ranking maps, like where like they'll have a hidden map where you have to go for certain points, like collecting points by killing as many enemies, capturing certain nodes and stuff. It was brutal. I did not really enjoy that too much, but I still managed to get like top 10%, I think, which is actually pretty tough because like we have other players from other servers, like the Chinese server and the Korean server, also trying to compete in these ranking events, so it makes it really hard to compete against them. And the Valhalla Pokemon collaboration. I didn't really play this one. I just skipped over it. So did you play it?
I played it. It was pretty decent. Love the story. I just like the mixing the drinks. I like that little aspect because you'll have like certain tea dogs like, yeah, can you give me this drink? And then you figure out what you need to do to make the drink and just give it to them.
And of course, we had the most recent event, the Singularity event. Has anyone, was everyone able to beat it?
Singularity.
Singularity. All right, nice job. Well, if you've missed out on any of these events, don't worry, they will make a return eventually as like regular events, just like regular maps. But I think like the drop rates for certain titles will definitely diminish. Basically, the point is that when these events were first implemented, like the titles, the limited edition titles were basically there for like pre-release. And now that these event maps are like regular maps, the drop rates will decrease. Kind of like other gacha games where like when like a new character is released, then like during the event her rate is like increased or like she's dropped as a reward, but during regular times when you try to obtain that character, the rate will drop. And of course there's more to come, probably more brutal, harder events. Alright, so UMP 4.5 covered this earlier. So signing up is free. You can download the game at the App Store and register an account in one of the 3 ways. Or you can register play as a guest, but it's not really recommended if you want to save your progress. Then yeah, you read through a prologue of the story. There's a very basic tutorial, and then which will cover like basic GUI and maneuvers and how the battle progresses. And then you're ready to start your career as a commander. Okay, so
For tips for beginners, my biggest tip is for dummy links and dummy cores. Just save as much as you can because you're going to be needing a lot of those, and it's going to take you forever to get all the cores you need to power up your T-dolls. There's nothing wrong using 2 or 3 star T-dolls at the start of you playing the game. I mean, you'll be able to get dummy links ×5, but they're really good. They'll help you out throughout the maps. And later on, when you advance yourself, you'll get the 4 or 5 star T-dolls and get all the cores you need to do the links with these. There's a couple of places where there's like maps people like grind to get cores. And in order to get cores, you have to scrap like 3 star T-dolls. 3 star T-dolls 1, a 4 star T-doll is like 3 cores, and then a 5 star T-doll, scrap one of them is like 5 cores. And also with cores, you also have to make sure if you get like a duplicate of a T-doll you already have, save it so that way it saves you on cores. So if you have like a 5 star Wall 2K and you get another one, save her if you're going to do a dummy link so it saves you on 15 cores.
and then yeah, so there are like for beginners there are like certain recommendations. Like these are the 3 star T-dolls that you might want to keep to save those cores because they drop very commonly and they're pretty useful for the first half of the maps at least. And yes, we've already covered this earlier, like there are various recipes you can try out, but yeah, again, more resource invested does not necessarily mean higher quality or rarity. So again, save up the resources for rate up events. Do not like spam the contracts before those. I did earlier say before the panel, I did say rate up is a lie, but
It is.
it is.
Always is.
I guess I was on the luckier side then. Oh well. Yeah, like so when AK-12 and AM-94 were released, like my first 2 constructions were AK-12 and AM-94.
Like I never get the dolls
So.
that are like rated up. I usually just get really nice things during rate ups, and I'm just happy with that. Like
Yeah.
during the heavy production rate up we had, I got 2 A90s and I was like, oh. And I got Nagaz and I was like, oh. And then
Nice.
For me, it's just like 500 contracts to get G11, even with the rate up. So yeah, I mean, I understand the pain. Yeah. All right, so as UMP45 mentioned earlier, yeah, so the game is free, but you could spend money to purchase gems, these in-game currencies that you can use to buy tokens, which are used for the what's called the resupply gacha for the furniture and the costumes. You can also purchase the costume packages, various resource packages. Now the game is pretty generous with free gems. Like there are quests that give you these gems. Also, you can get them from monthly logins. But the most economic. Go ahead.
Also, another thing with the gyms is the fact that you can, like, if they're, let's just say, like, the game's down for emergency maintenance or something. They're like, oh, we'll give you all resources and maybe gems, depending on how long they've been, like, out, or they have the emergency maintenance.
You also get free gems for sharing information.
Oh, that too, yeah. Yeah, your weekly progress. If you like share your commander screen on social media, then you get free gems every week. But the most, like, if you want to really spend money, then the most economic way to collect gems is the monthly, like the gem card. You get like 30 gems every day for 30 days. And there are certain periods of time where, for about a week, the monthly card basically gives you double the gems. But yeah, again, be careful with the purchases. Again, like the cost of gacha rates are low, and you have to, well, for titles, yeah, I know, like, if you really want a title, then it might sound like it's worthy to spend some gems to purchase those extra title contracts, but it's probably best to wait for rate-up events. Now, resources, the game is pretty generous with resources, as GM45 said. Like, during the after maintenance, they always give you 500 resources of everything. And also, there's like a daily, like, if you log in, like, they will give you those resources. But there are certain resources that you really want to save up, like cores, skill chips, ones that are really hard to collect, like not the ones that you can easily farm for. And yeah, I keep repeating this over and over again, but the contracts are best saved up for events, like Titles, for rate-ups, and or major events for repair contracts. And yeah, this one should be pretty much a basic knowledge for most players. There are like certain formations that you can utilize for most maps. Let's see. And then, oh yeah, friend squads. If you have like a friend that has really into the game, far into the game already, it's best if you have them as friends on the game, so that you can like use their really overpowered squads to just cheese through all the maps, and you don't have to do anything. Just watch your friend squad just finish the whole map.
And you have up to 2.
Yep, you can have up to 2 per map. Now, compared to other gacha games, like you don't have to hoard resources because they just come to you. Like you get these events, daily logins.
This game's very generous with resources. Even when you first start playing it, they just want you, they're trying to grab your attention, they want you to play more. So they're very generous resources as a result.
So you don't even have to like unlock all slots because you can utilize just the basic slots. And there's, except for, I'll be honest, except for the gacha part, there is less RNG involved. Especially the gameplay aspect. Now, the game sounds pretty complicated for beginners or someone who has never touched this game. Well, there are plenty of online resources that can help you out. There are like Wikipedia, there's a Girls Frontline Wiki. For Korean fandom, we have a Nambu Wiki where you go in to get some quick aid for the game. There are also communities and forums like Girls Frontline Reddit and Discord. And there's like DC Inside Bakery Gallery for Korean fans. Alright, so we're at the midpoint of the panel. Does anyone have any questions about the game? No? Alright, let's move on. So I mentioned earlier that the codename Bakery Girl is pretty much the spiritual successor of Girls Frontline, even though it was released before Girls Frontline. So there are certain parts, like elements of the story and the lore that they have in common, like collapsed fluid, which actually was briefly mentioned in the last event, and World War III, which is mentioned in the website of Girls Frontline itself, like how this all started with like a certain like an explosion in Manchuria, and like suddenly like the world became like an inhospitable, uninhabitable place. So like all the remaining humans started World War III, and this gave rise to TDOS and military technology, as well as private military contractors. They and yeah, the IOP manufacturing company, which manufactured all these tactical dolls that we call T-dolls. And yeah, so the story, without spoiling too much of the story, I would say it's kind of like Dead Space and Resistance series with Azure Lane graphics and gameplay. The gameplay itself ties in more with Advanced Wars, in my opinion, though. Like with the whole, like, you capture this node for more turns and defeat these enemies. There are certain units are more effective against other units, while certain units are less effective. That kind of reminds me of Pokemon this time. Different types have different advantages. Alright, so the prologue of the game. I don't think this goes into spoiler territory, but yeah, so the prologue of the game covers like what happened before the game. Okay, this was also mentioned in the past event, the Butterfly incident, where the Sanguis Berry, which is the enemy units that we will cover, the AI basically turned against humans. Now, haven't we seen that story before? We call it the Terminator, or Skynet. So the main squad, the AR squad, is given like an infiltration mission to retrieve certain data that was left by one of these AI researchers when they are ambushed by the Sanguis Berry units. And the mission goes horribly wrong, and then you, as the commander, this is where you come into play. You're given the task to rescue the AR squad and assist with their missions. Alright, so the game cast, similar to other gotcha games of this nature, like, well, there's like Conway, Idolmaster, like, you are the protagonist, you are the one in charge, you are the commander. The protagonist of the game who is meant to be you. And you're in charge of the T-Dolls of Griffin and Kruger. As you can see, T-Dolls, personifications of various worldwide weapons. Now, why are they all female? According to the, let's see, the settings, I think, according to settings described by the developers, it's because of, what's it called? They just, the manufacturer just wanted them to be that way. It was just a matter of preference. Okay, yeah, that's what they said. It was just a matter of preference. That's what the developer said. The only major private military contractor that is relevant to the gameplay at this point in the story is Griffin and Kruger, which is the company that U.S. commander is working for. And then there's Sanguis Berry, your opponents. There are other entities that will assist you or are relevant to the story, like 16 Lab and IOP, as well as the Army, which will become very, very relevant in like later chapters. Now, Griffin Kruger. Yeah, it's spelled really weird, but it's not. It's meant to be pronounced as Kruger. And there's Ilianthus, or Kruger's aide, and Kalina. Now, Kalina is the logistics officer that helps the commander. Every day when you log in, she will give you like gifts, like generous gifts, like resources, capsules, contracts, and everything.
Love it when she gives me 9 cores in one day. I'm like, thank you.
So make sure you log in every day to maximize out of the daily gifts. Now, let's see.
She also has costumes too, so the more you give her affection, the more costumes you unlock for her.
So it's possible to unlock these costumes just by collecting the, oh, it's not shown here. Like, she also has her collection of hearts, basically. So more hearts you collect, her affection rises. But supposedly the faster way to collect this affection is to, well, purchase gems. So it's like, spend more money. She keeps saying stuff
wants
like,
your money.
She keeps saying stuff like, Commander, if you don't buy something, we will starve. Like, she'll actually say that.
How are we going to give everybody their paychecks?
Yeah, that's one of her lines. Now, let's see, so this might not be quite obvious to many people, but the names are actually based on plants. So Helianthus, yeah, well, that one's kind of, might be obvious because the Helios, that's the sunflower. Kalina is based on, let's see, it's a Chinese name of linden arrowwood. It's one of those like herbs that they use in China. And Kruger is the name of a silver birchwood. And there are various T-Doll squads. So there are like main squads, like Anti-Rain, and then there's 404 squad. So Anti-Rain is basically like the main squad of the story, and 404 squad is the main squad of the events. So these two are like the main squads that you'll interact with. Now 404 squad is technically not commanded by Griffin and Kruger. They're more like mercenaries, black ops mercenaries that you send into the battlefield to carry out these top secret missions. There are other assisting squads like Paulette, Negev. They have their own stories. And let's see.
When you do events, you'll just come across squads where one will be Negative Squad, another one will be Thompson Squad, or it just depends on who you're working with when you do the events.
And then let's see, other assisting entities like 16 Labs. Persika is the top researcher for 16 Labs. She's the creator of the AR team T-Dolls. And then, yeah, she's also based on a plant name. One of the herbs, again, not familiar with that one. Let's see, IOP, Important Operation Prototype Manufacturing Company. In case you didn't know what the IOP stands for. you'll see their logo appear actually in the in-game screens, like when you go into the field of production and equipment construction. The idea is that like when you order these, when you try to do a TDOL production, you're basically placing an order on the ILP manufacturing companies, and they will send you like a random TDOL. Again, I don't know why they would just randomly choose a TDOL, but yes, that's their role in the game. They will also become relevant with the story. Again, we're not going to spoil too much about the story, but they will become relevant in later chapters. Then Sandwich Berry. So I know like one of my friends keeps pronouncing it as Sangvis. It's not Sangvis, it is Sangwis Berry. It literally means iron blood, I think. Yeah, Sangwis, blood, berry, iron. So they're the main enemies of the game for the most part. They are basically like rogue mavericks, are currently commanded by like a rogue AI that's out to kill all humans. Again, like it's very comparable to the Terminator series, and but they have similarities to Griffin Kruger Teal. So there are some parts of the story that when you go through a story, you kind of realize they have some similarities that kind of make you wonder, are they really the true enemies? We'll find out. Like the story hasn't been released much on this, but there was a recent update on the Chinese server where you can capture Sandwich Berry units and command them for your own units. So it makes you wonder, really, like, are they really your true enemies?
One good thing about this game is the story for it, because you get so much attention from the story that it attracts you that you want to know more and more and more throughout the events.
All right, so let's see. So we're almost at the end of the panel, so we'll cover like the future plans for this game. So there are some. There are some upcoming updates. Let's see. Okay, so there's like other furniture that will be coming up, and then let's see. Yeah, the rate up for the titles that has already happened. Did anyone get any like good titles out of that one? The New Year's rate up.
Oh, I got K11.
Yeah, nice. K11's good. Yeah.
They're probably going to do something for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
So-
this one's outdated. Whoops. Let's see. Yeah, they had like new titles, like some shotguns basically. Saiga 12, I think. Let's see. I think I got Saiga 12, but the other one I didn't get. Then let's see. So future updates will be released on the Girls Frontline Facebook page. They also have like monthly Q&A where you can go in and ask like, oh yeah, what's gonna happen next? And they'll answer you like within their best of their abilities. So it's something like, oh, when is this T-Doll gonna be released? Or when is this costume gonna be released? Chances are you'll just hear a generic answer of, we'll release them soon.
Soon, TM.
Yeah. But something that you can expect in the near future, like, oh, what are the dates for, let's say, what's the next event after Singularity? I think it was a salt mod. It was a salt mod event. But like we could ask like, okay, so when's the salt mod event? They could probably give you an answer like, I expect it to be in February or March.
Also, if you're going to ask a question, go through all the comments to see if the question has been answered or not. If it has been answered, then don't repeat the question again, because people do get annoyed if there's like 20 different people asking when's the next event, and the people were like, we can't tell you right now, we'll tell you in the future, but not right now. And people will still keep asking the same question, and it's kind of nerve-wracking to them, trying to answer the same question over and over and over again.
All right, so this one also has been mentioned a few times about Girls Frontline 2. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with that one. It's been mentioned, it's kind of been going around the rumor mills. There could be a sequel to the current Girls Frontline, but I feel like it's stuck in development hell right now because my team is such a small team. They're trying to manage a lot of things at the same time. But if Girls Frontline 2 comes out, then, well, you'll basically see it announced on the Girls Frontline social media page. All right, so yeah, so that was pretty much all of the panel. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask us after the panel, or you can visit one of the links here. There's an English Girls Frontline wiki. For Korean fans, we have info on the Namu wiki, or various forums and communities like the Girls Frontline Reddit and Discord. There's also a Facebook group, the Girls Frontline page, where you can ask other commanders or, well, on the threads, like on relevant threads, you can ask admins or the other commanders on how to do like stuff. And they also post like important updates, so definitely follow them on Facebook. All right, so yeah, that was it. That was the panel, and thank you very much for attending the panel. I wish you all fun and exciting.
Thank you. You guys have a great time.